Hello, everyone. I'm Joseph Giarraputo, the founder and editorial director of Global Finance, coming to you from New York. I'm pleased to be joined by Joseph Abraham, the group CEO of CBQ, the Commercial Bank of Qatar, one of the Middle East's leading financial institutions. Joseph, welcome. Good to see you again. This has got to be a hectic and exciting time for everyone in Qatar. The 2022 FIFA World Cup in Qatar kicks off shortly. What are the most significant challenges in providing banking services for an event of this scale and complexity?
Well, if you think of it, Qatar is a small country with a population of just under 3 million, and we're likely to have almost 2 million visitors coming for the World Cup. So the sheer logistics will be enormous. Our goal, and the entire banking sector under the supervision of the central bank, is to ensure that all our visitors have a very seamless experience in terms of payments, in terms of their transactions. So as an example, our branches, they have to continue functioning even though there may be certain traffic restrictions. We have to make sure that we've, as a bank, installed virtual POS machines in all the taxis so that people don't have to pay cash. That's just an example. So outfitting a fleet of a couple of thousand taxis, that's just a small sort of snapshot of some of the challenges we've had. But for us, that's the goal, and we're all excited by it because I ultimately believe it'll transition Qatar even faster to a cashless economy, which is very good.
As you say, for the World Cup, it's important to ensure transactions are safe and convenient. How is CBQ responding to this challenge?
On a complete focus on payments, because as I said earlier, our goal is to ensure that all our visitors have a good time and they don't worry about how to make payment. So as an example, all the banks have recently introduced Apple Pay, and now today we've made the announcement that we're introducing Samsung Pay. So the aim is to provide the full suite of payment products to all the visitors, and that's really where the focus has been. And there will also be prepaid cards which will be available to visitors so they can load them and use them for their purchases. So, and we've had a big effort to make sure that all vendors have cashless payment alternatives available to them, so the clients can use their international cards quite freely here. So that's been the real focus.
It seems the World Cup is giving a strong boost to CBQ's digital banking. What do you think are the most important challenges and opportunities for digital banking in Qatar?
Well, I think digital banking, digital is the way forward for every industry, and even more so in banking. So for us, as I mentioned, payments has been a main focus because for digital banking, that's obviously one of the key areas. And so, for example, making payments easy, contactless, cashless, but also, international payments, both sending them and receiving them, making that very fast. As an example, we have a 60-second remittance service. You can send money to certain countries in Asia, and within 60 seconds is credited to the account in the other side, which is very unique. And so that's an example of where digital banking has been very successful for us. It's also about allowing prepaid cards, and it's also about financial inclusion, because by using digital banking, you're able to cover a wider swathe of the population. In terms of the other opportunities, digital banking then generates a lot of data. And that data is really useful for analytics, both to understand our customers' experience, to understand what else we can provide for them. So concept of personalization using data analytics is very important. I think that's where a lot of companies and banks will be focusing on. In terms of challenges, of course, when you do things digitally, you leave a sort of data trail behind you. And also, we have seen globally a phenomenon of either cybersecurity, people getting hacked, or phishing scams. So we have to both enhance our own security systems and also educate our customers so that they don't get cyber scammed through techniques that we've seen. So we actually came out with a very innovative safety feature because there were so many scam calls. People were not even accepting calls from the bank, genuine calls. So how do you give people comfort that it's a genuine call? We actually created something called CB Safe ID. So we actually send a notification that you're going to get a call from the bank. Then we send a dynamic random number. And so when the bank calls, the customer actually asks them to verify the number. And so the person from the bank has to verify that number. That's an example of what we're doing to actually promote confidence in digital banking.
Okay, very, very interesting. The other major global event in the Middle East is COP27, focused on the climate. How is digital banking impacting sustainable finance?
First of all, I think just the fact that things are done digitally, it reduces, physical travel to a branch. It reduces physical interaction, physical paper. So we're, in that sense, reducing the impact of logistic, whether it's paper, whether it's petrol, transport. So I think that's a very important benefit, especially when you multiply it across millions of transactions. So the cumulative effect is quite significant, even in terms of storage, data retrieval, etc. So you get away from that whole physical part. But I think overall, again, understanding data, understanding the analytics will also be useful in enhancing our own knowledge of the impact we have on the environment, how people are transacting. So overall, I believe digital is a way forward to help reduce and improve sustainable finance. And it also has, as I mentioned earlier, inclusive element. And that's very important because digital helps us to serve the entire population. And that's very important for inclusion, which is one of the important aspects of any ESG agenda.
Okay, that's very interesting. CBQ operates within a fossil fuel economy. What are Qatar's long-term climate goals, and how is CBQ helping to achieve them?
Qatar, as you know, is the world's largest exporter of liquefied natural gas. Now, with the unfortunate events in Ukraine, what has happened is there's been a clear recognition of the importance of stable supplies, particularly of gas, which has been recognized as a transition fuel by the European Union. So that has its own importance as a contributor to sustainability, using gas as a transition fuel. So obviously Qatar is contributing in that manner. Secondly, in terms of Qatar's climate change strategy, national environment and climate change strategy, for 2030, they're committed to reducing their carbon footprint by 25%. So we are committed to supporting in the ways that we can by reducing our own footprint and also providing support to sustainable finance initiatives like renewables, etc. Qatar has just commissioned an 800 megawatt solar energy plant. And so there will be opportunities in renewable finance, which I think will also be where the bank will be focusing
on. Joseph, thank you for joining us. I hope CBQ in Qatar and you have a successful World Cup. We wish we were there with you.